Hello everyone, welcome to the Hope Collective. On this Hope Calls YouTube channel, I do tarot and oracle card readings to provide guidance messages and energy readings and healings. And today we're doing a pick a card. I started this pick a card last week, so if you were here for that, I thank you so much for bearing with me. I got sick and then had a bunch of work to catch up on. But today we're recording group 2, and this pick a card is themed on self-worth. What messages does each group need to hear to affirm and empower them in their self-worth? This might be messages about blockages to self-worth and guidance on clearing and healing and releasing them. It might be messages of encouragement and affirmation and reminders of where your self-worth is truly rooted. Reminders to help boost you and pump you up in that regard. Excuse me. I've tried to start this recording 3 times now, and I keep on feeling this tremendous solar plexus energy coming through. So group 2, that is going to be a fun ride for you. But just to recap, in case any of you are actually feeling called to one of the other piles, I've already recorded and posted group 1, which is signified by the Hierophant card. And I used the Unfolding Path Tarot to pull these significator cards. Group 2, which we're posting and recording today, is signified by the 3 of Swords reversed. That's how it looks upright in this deck. I'm really excited about this, you guys. And group 3, which I should be recording in the next couple days, is signified by the 7 of Swords. So do whatever you need to do to take a few deep breaths, for example, get grounded, get centered, and focus on which card, which pile aligns with your energy and with what you need to hear today. I'll put the link to group 1 in the description box below. And once I have group 3 recorded, that will be posted as well. And without further ado, let's get into pile 2. So group 2, I've been guided to pull some tea leaf oracle cards to start with for your pile, and then draw on the tarot decks that I have to clarify those messages. And while I shuffle the tea leaf oracle cards, I've had some introductory messages, some downloads coming in about the 3 of Swords reversed for y'all. So the 3 of Swords reversed, I see it as a recovery card, a healing card, or more importantly, a release and moving on card. It is, the 3 of Swords is a card of heartbreak, devastating wounding. And when it's reversed, it's like the 3 swords are falling out of the heart. And what I've been getting for this group is that you have been actually plucking the thorns out of your paw, so to speak. And you haven't simply been waiting for these causes of your wounds to fall away. You've actually decided for yourself, you know what, no, it's time. I'm going to pluck these thorns out so that these wounds can get to healing. I'm getting 2 of the month cards. How interesting. I am really intrigued to see where this goes. 3 month cards? Is that true, Spirit? So there's a great pat on the back from your spirit team. More than a pat on the back. It's more warm than that. It's more like an all-encompassing hug. You're really being engulfed in "we see you" energy by your spirit team for having chosen the courage and the bravery to remove these swords from your own heart, having chosen to validate your own worth in that deep and profound and painful, but ultimately worth it way. You have chosen and declared to yourself and to anyone else who's listening or watching that your healing, your chance to feel better, you full stop, are worth the going through the pain of reopening these wounds so as to disinfect them and truly going in there to nourish the tissue and heal the wounds, let the scars fade. So thank you from your spirit team to you for doing that. In fact, extra thank you, because there is a message that for many of you, you actually saved yourself from a dangerous situation by doing this. You didn't just wait for a situation to end and then remove the claws of the dangerous, figure in the situation, the metaphorical or the metaphorical beast or person or what have you. But as soon as those claws kind of sank in, you said, wait a minute, back off, removed yourself from the situation, and in so doing, removed those claws and kept them from causing a much worse wound for yourself. So there's a huge round of applause from Spirit for you for that insight, that discernment, that bravery, and for really standing in and standing on your worth, your value, your empowerment, standing in your power and saying no more, declaring what you deserve, declaring what you will tolerate and what you are willing to stand for. And by so doing, banishing everything that doesn't align with you. And you might, at this moment, be in a moment of having just done that, or being just about to do that, kind of on the verge of doing that, having had this realization yourself and being about to implement the action steps. So you might be in kind of a state of overwhelm with how this Three of Swords looks, clutching the head and being clearly in distress. And of course, there's strong validation coming through of of course, don't put yourself down or think that you're weaker or less strong or less worthy if you feel overwhelmed or if you feel distressed. You've been in a distressing situation. It was a distressing situation. That's an appropriate response. It's not at all a symptom or manifestation or indication of you being weak or less deserving somehow. I'm hearing that some of you feel that you should have seen this coming sooner or should have identified the threat sooner. And it's no, you identified the threat before it could truly harm you in a lasting way. That's, at the end of the day, all that matters. A day, give or take, sooner or later, there's kind of this, of course, everything matters, your choices matter, your free will matters, but there's very much from Spirit this throwing up of the hands and this, who cares? You did it. Who cares if it took more time than you'd like? You did amazing. And if you've been through other situations that have taught you the discernment that you implemented in this situation, I'm willing to bet that you implemented your discernment a whole lot faster in this round than you were able to do it in the past. And that's no shade to your past self. We don't know things until we learn. And unfortunately, we often learn the hard way. And a lot of times that's really because of the people around us not looking out for us. So there's a strong, strong encouragement that anything you've suffered in this situation due to this situation is not through your own failing. It's not your fault. It's not your shortcoming. It's not some sort of character flaw or character weakness. It's not some sort of indication that you are always susceptible or always vulnerable to situations like this. It's an indication of how far you've come, how strong you've become in identifying situations like this and getting the heck out of Dodge before they become a real big problem. So thank you for doing that. Any more tea leaf oracle, Spirit? Got this one poking out from the bottom of the deck. And I think that's all for now. So let's see what we got. I'm feeling moved to flip this one over first. Harp, great happiness. Love to see it. Such an interesting harp with that lion's mane there. The solar plexus energy that I mentioned in the intro that is still suffusing my whole body in this reading is like this just enormous lion's roar, as if that roar is pervading every cell of my body. It really is like, this is what I will stand for, this is what I will not stand for, and you're going to hear me, whether you like it or not, whether you try to talk over me or not. And with the harp being juxtaposed with this lion or dragon's head here, you know what? I think there's probably some sort of mythological creature that has the head of a lion and the body of a fish that I do not know the name of. So if you know what the story of that is, please, by all means, put it in the comments so that we can all share in that. But with this juxtaposition of the roaring creature and the gentle strums of the harp, there may also be, I think it's very likely that, similar to the strength card in tarot, embodying the strength in gentleness, I think many of you have probably actually exited this situation with grace. It may have even been a way that I'm hearing the word meek. It may have felt meek to you, the way that you declared this situation over. You may have, I'm getting that quote, speak your mind even when your voice shakes. So a reminder again from Spirit of, it doesn't matter if your voice shakes. It doesn't, the same way they were saying, who cares if it was a day later or sooner? You spoke your mind, you got out, that's what matters. And the effect in this case is the same as the effect of a great burgeoning roar in terms of opening your solar plexus, opening your pathways and possibilities to peace in your life. And you should not underestimate the strength in your own willingness to declare yourself, declare your peace and your right to peace, your deserving of peace, in a way that is peaceful. It's not lesser to do it that way. It's also not necessarily lesser to roar on your way out, but, sometimes people do lash out in that process, and it's kind of like there's this resistance dynamic that happens where something has been pushing them and they push back. And please don't misunderstand me. When something has been steamrolling you, it's tremendously important to push it off of you and get up and remove yourself from the situation, even if doing so feels like a forceful push away, feels like shoving the person or the situation or the energy away. That's perfectly fine. There's a different energy to that self-love shove than there is to a vindictive shove. And so there's sort of an aside to mention, like, you're actually practicing very well upholding and protecting your peace by practicing your ability to exit situations gracefully and peacefully. And they're saying you should not prize too much whether you kind of get the last word and have this triumphant door slamming exit, or whether you simply don't say a word at all and leave, block and report. Report and block is something I'm hearing in my head. So when they say you shouldn't prize that too much, don't ascribe over much meaning on the how, as long as what you needed to accomplish was accomplished. And that might be different in different situations. In some situations, saying your piece might feel really important to you, and in other situations it might feel like this kind of petty vindictive urge to get the last word or one up, in a situation where that's just actually either neutral or potentially feeding back into a dynamic that you're in the process of severing and cutting off. And in other situations, you simply quietly say, this isn't working for me. I'm done here. And get up from the table, pay the check at the restaurant, metaphorically or literally. I'm getting that image quite strongly, so I think for some of you that may be quite literal. And if you left them with the check, that's okay too. But I am getting this, that's such a lovely specific message. Spirit is saying that some of you literally did get the check and leave, and that they want to applaud you for having the class and integrity, for not being petty and vindictive and leaving them with the check, whoever this other party was. So whatever significance that has for you, that is a very clear message coming through. I love that. Thank you. That gave me a great laugh. I'm sure the situation wasn't funny for you, but I hope that it's something that you can see as a positive reflection of how you behave with integrity, regardless of what other people do. The real takeaway from Spirit with that message is you did not stoop to someone else's level. You rooted yourself in your own integrity, and suddenly, I'm hearing, recognized that the way this person treating me does not reflect who I am, what I am, anything about me. The way they are acting as if they perceive me is not accurate or truthful at all, and I don't have to keep on considering it as if, and like examining it and turning it over and staring at it and looking at it, trying to see where they got it from and trying to figure out how it does apply to me when it actually holds no truth at all. And with that bill at the restaurant example, whether it was literal or metaphorical for you, you not only declared, wait a second, you're not the judge of my worth. You also said, I'm going to act with the integrity and the grace and the honor that I possess, and I know I possess, even though you are treating me as if I don't. Your actions speak about you and not about me. And I just got, with the music and the lions roar again, I just got a message as well. And I am going to get to the rest of these cards in just a second here, but one more message coming through about how some of you had a moment of maybe waffling or just considering whether to really speak your truth about why you were leaving this situation and give them the honest reason why as you departed, or whether to kind of make up an excuse that might be more palatable. There's a lot of societal pressure in many cultures to do that, even in situations where there really are no stakes, where there's really no consequence for being honest about it other than the other person's disapproval, or their expression perhaps quite loudly of their disagreement. And I'm not faulting anyone for creating a different, less factual reason to give someone in a situation where they are unsafe. That is an appropriate thing to do. But I'm getting the message that some of you had a moment where you were planning out the excuses to give and suddenly realized, you know what, they're not going to like it, but they actually can't do anything about it. I'm just going to tell them the truth. And that was another reflection. I'm getting that many of you were interacting with someone who is very deceitful and manipulative. And you choosing to go with the bald-faced truth instead of trying to make your departure or parting of the ways palatable to someone who was trying to manipulate you the whole time, was again you reflecting how you base your decisions, your actions, your words, and your worth on your own integrity, your own truth, your own power, knowledge, and honor, rather than on how they've treated you. And it actually was not like you pettily or vindictively snapping or lashing out about like, well, here's the truth, here's the real reason why, if you really want to know. It was actually you taking the high road. Whatever it was that you said, you didn't say it with this hateful, hurtful energy. And that's not to say, if you do feel hatred towards this person, that's completely fine and valid and okay. That is a stage of recovering from situations where someone has acted deceitfully, manipulatively, abusively, harmfully. Feeling disgust or scorn or hatred towards them is a very natural and appropriate stage to go through in that process of processing and recovering from the situation. But it speaks very highly of you that you were able to very honestly feel your feelings and honestly execute your parting of the ways, your departure, and speak your mind, even though it may have felt like your voice was shaking, or it may have felt like it came across a little timid or meek, or it may have felt like it came across angry. But regardless, you were speaking from the energy of alignment, truth, and self-love, rather than from any of the other energies that sometimes you can speak from. And again, it's no shade to any time recent or long ago that you may have spoken out of anger. For one thing, anger can be a form of self-love. And for another thing, if it was indeed a mistake and not a self-loving word or action, we all make those. And there's no expectation from spirit that you be perfect or not have those moments. So let's see what else we have here. Handshake. A meeting with a stranger could be important. That's so interesting. It looks like a ring there to me, and a globe, suggesting that it could be someone who travels a lot, or you could travel a lot, or this could be a meeting with someone just from a different place than you. And the sun and the clouds there. I'm so curious. Is that a ring or a crescent moon? I am so curious. Let's see what else we have here. Ant, work, achievement, success. I'm being given the message of the story of the ant and the grasshopper. If you ever saw the animated movie, I believe it was A Bug's Life. If I'm misremembering the title, please forgive me and please correct me in the comments below. But I believe that was the name of the movie, where ants and grasshoppers were characters that were demonstrating like the class divide in human society, and the way that the grasshoppers were profiting off of the ants' work was a reflection of toxic power dynamics that are at play in all levels of human society and have been for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And so I'm very much getting that this person was probably someone that you met recently, or met a while ago, but didn't know as well as they wanted you to think you did. Ultimately, you parted ways with the feeling of like, I don't know who this person is, and maybe they don't know either. A lot of times when people are so deceitful and manipulative, it is a reflection of they really don't know who they are. If they did, it would... Knowing who you are comes as a result of doing the work of aligning with yourself and aligning yourself, aligning different aspects of yourself, getting to know different aspects of yourself, so that you can, by your free will, bring them into alignment with each other, not out of forcing unwilling parts of yourself, but out of finding win-win solutions for parts of you that have conflicting feelings. And I'm really getting that this person you were dealing with was a stranger to themselves, and therefore even their closest friends, I'm getting they were a stranger to, because they weren't showing their true self to anyone consistently. It would come through in glimpses, and a lot of times very ugly versions of themselves, because every trait that we have can be expressed in an exalted way or in a fallen way, a way that is unconscious and self-defensive and fearful and manipulative. And I'm getting that this person was kind of a shapeshifter in a very slippery, like hiding from the light type of way. Like the way a bug scuttles away from the light, or the way a snake slithers away from a larger animal, you know. And nothing against snakes or bugs, obviously. We have some very positive messages from the ant here. This is speaking to your success being through hard work and honest work, honest achievement. And that by freeing yourself from this connection, if you've already done so or are about to do so, you are ensuring that the fruits of your labor will be yours to enjoy, rather than being taken advantage of and drained by this dishonest person. Very interesting. Some of you, with the handshake, some of you, this may have been a professional connection, a client or potential collaborator who you met, who I think may have met kind of in a passing way while they were traveling through. And it may not be that they were traveling from across the globe, but I am hearing that for some of you. For others of you, it may have been, across the state or province, across town. But someone you wouldn't normally have interacted with kind of took you by surprise, and was probably very charming at the start, but was not what they seemed. Was really like a wolf in sheep's clothing, a stranger in disguise, and really just wanting to take advantage of your hard work. Let's see what we have for the months here, and then see what we need for clarification. We have January. The ice thawing there is really speaking to me, and the long nose is reminding me of Pinocchio. Like, this person got caught in their lies by you, or potentially by someone who alerted you to their dishonest ways. But this person got caught in their lies and is now kind of thawing from their shock of having been caught in the lies, or you've left them out in the cold with all this ice imagery, and there they shall stay. They will be able to fend for themselves. Don't you worry about it. What a crazy, cool, vivid imagery for that. I almost can't believe it. We're going for this one next. Are you kidding me? February. With the lion and with this similarly fierce face, there are a lot of sayings about how the truth always outs. The truth always comes out, no matter what you do, whether you try to avoid it or are completely unconscious of it or ignore it, no matter how long it goes unnoticed. If it's the truth, it's not going away. So, whereas if it's a lie, eventually it's going to crumble, and all that's left will be the truth. So, for many of you, you are this gust of wind blowing away the dust of the veneer, the facade. For some of you, there was someone who kind of blew in and alerted you to the lies. Also, for many of you, this person told on themselves. Like we said, with them being a stranger to themselves, they're not, the vibe I'm getting from this person, and it may be different for some of you depending on the situation, because this is a general reading, but the vibe I'm getting from this person is like because they don't know themselves, they're so inconsistent, and so they end up telling on themselves, and they think they're so smooth and suave and charming, and because they have some kind of currency in the fields, the worlds they walk through, whether it's literal money or some other type of power or social currency connections, because they have some kind of currency, a lot of people let them get away with being so inconsistent and such an obvious liar. And because of that, they don't even think they're an obvious liar. But to people who have cultivated integrity and do know themselves, it becomes obvious quite quickly. And that's another, that brings us back to the initial message of self-empowerment and self-worth, about how you may have beaten yourself up in this situation for not realizing faster, but with them being so inconsistent, it makes complete sense that you were confused at first. Some of the people you're dealing with are confusing on purpose, because it throws people off their footing and makes them more likely to just kind of go along with what this person is doing, because they're like kind of trying to catch up while this person is talking fast and saying 600 different things. For some of them, though, for a lot of them, even if there's an element of deliberate manipulation there, or many elements of that, at the end of the day, they don't know themselves, and they are not even being confusing on purpose. They think they're being very smoothly and cunningly manipulative, when in reality they're actually giving a lot of mixed messages. And anyone who's really cultivated integrity spots that red flag quite quickly, and you did. You may wish that you had spotted it more quickly, and that's valid, but you should applaud yourself and really appreciate how quickly you actually saw through how they were telling on themselves. Is this going to be August? Okay. This is the sun coming out after the storm, with how we have the clouds here, and we went from the ice of January to the winds blowing through. Then we have the sun burning through, and this is the sun of your solar plexus, like we talked about at the beginning of the reading, your self-worth and your integrity and honesty, shining through and burning away all the fog and mist, the smoke and mirrors and so much BS that this person tried to cast over your eyes. You've burned all that away, and now you're burning away the foggy remnants of the situation, so that you can feel shiny and new again and truly move on with your life. And this person is not going to mean anything to you in the future, the very near future. So huge props to you for doing that. And if you aren't feeling super in touch with that self-worth, congrats to you for acting on it and declaring that self-worth, even if you didn't feel confident in it. That's the best way to develop confidence in it, is to say, like, you know what, I don't feel completely certain or ready, but I have a pretty good hunch about what's right in this situation, and the way you're acting ain't it. That, or I simply can't take how much you're stressing me out anymore, whatever version of it that it is. By doing that, you practice and you develop the muscle of courage, of, you know what, I'm enforcing my boundaries. I'm not just asking you to honor them. I'm protecting myself. If you don't honor them, I will enforce them. This is the law of my land. The sun doesn't ask for permission to shine, and neither should you. People can go inside or find some trees or some sunglasses if they don't want to deal with your light. But you are shining the light on the truth of the situation just by being willing to look and willing to see. I'm getting another tea leaf card. Hand. That's so funny with the handshake. In need of help, assistance, and guidance. I'm definitely getting that you really guided yourself out of this situation, but I want more clarification of what else this card is signifying for us. Oh, with the hand, being raised here. I'm getting that you raised your hand and spoke up when it was scary and nerve-wracking, and it would have been easier to keep quiet, just like it was when you were the new kid in class at school. It was nerve-wracking and downright terrifying to raise your hand. You did it anyway. And in fact, just like the sun doesn't ask permission to shine, you've started to learn, I don't need to raise my hand and wait for someone to call on me. I can just speak up. And that can be asking for help. That can be demanding what I deserve. I definitely think other cards that get pulled are going to clarify that in need of help, assistance, and guidance. I do think by your willingness to speak up and shine, you either already are or are becoming someone that other people see, oh, that person is a bit of a role model to me. That person could kind of be my lighthouse through the situation where I felt like I just had to go along with and tolerate this because everyone else was. But now I see someone speaking up for themselves and changing their fate, and I can follow in their footsteps, or I can ask them how they did it. I am getting that some of you, there are people who've seen your progress that you aren't even aware of. And for some of them, it may not be that they've truly seen your progress, but they simply felt your vibration and been changed by it, because we do impact each other just by being around each other. Some of you, this is an ancestral healing thing where by developing your discernment, honoring and standing in your self-worth, and empowering yourself in this situation where someone deceitful was trying to entrap you, and that really is the strong vibe that I'm getting, entrapment. By doing that, you broke a generational curse, or if that wording doesn't resonate for you, healed an ancestral wound. You healed something in your family line. You changed or shifted a pattern that you and other members of your family before you and around you have lived out and carried out. And by doing that, you have given a hand to the rest of your family before, around, and after you into perpetuity, into the rest of time. The rest of your family line, for as long as it extends, will feel the ripple effects, will feel your hand in the situation. Your hand changed the currents of the river of your family line and has guided them to a better path for your entire family. Even distant members of your family get affected by this type of change to the genetics, to the energetics of the group, and that is profound. And you should give yourself a hand of applause for that tremendous contribution that you've made. I'm also getting that there may have been a grabbiness from this person. If you're feeling at all uncertain about whether the person you're thinking of is the person this reading is talking about, you may have felt like even if they weren't overtly, explicitly, asking and demanding things, you may have felt this grabbiness towards your energy from them. Maybe this presumptuous energy. It may have been that verbally they were saying, oh, I respect your decisions, I respect you saying no to this. But maybe they kept on saying things and insisting and kind of presenting this grabby energy or demeanor in contradiction to what they were saying. And that is confirmation for some of you that, yeah, this person really wasn't being truthful when they said these words about respect. For some of you, and I'm so sorry if this is the case, for some of you, someone laid their hands on you in some kind of violent or non-consensual way, and I am so sorry if that is the case, and I'm not going to get any more graphic about trying to describe that. I don't want to trigger anyone, but this is a message of validation for you. They had no right to do that. You should not have had to go through that. And thank you for protecting yourself from any further instances with this person, any further escalation with this person. Some of you also work with your hands. I myself am a massage therapist, and I've had instances similar to the one that's being described in this reading with massage clients of mine. And some of you may also work in that type of profession: massage, Reiki, hands-on healing. You might be doctors, you might be nurses, and you might have, I'm getting the phrase, biting the hands that feed you. So you might have had, someone you were honestly, like this aunt with the honest hard work, providing a service to with great devotion and love and integrity, and they repaid that with this awful toxic energy of trying to take advantage. And screw that. The spirit is being very blunt today, and so am I, because I've been through this too. And it's not right. If someone has tried to take advantage of you like that, it's not right. And if you have been through this once or more than once, perhaps many times for some of you, and you have persisted in and persevered in saying, I'm not going to stop lending a hand, lending a helping hand, providing this hands-on service or healing to people. It might also be a hands-on service more like making things or fixing things, like plumbing or construction. And maybe you've had bad experiences with colleagues or clients there. If you've persevered in saying, I'm not going to give up on providing the service to people because of the bad apples, I'm going to persist in discovering and creating whatever it takes to enforce my boundaries and provide my service freely and willingly, passionately, compassionately, and devotedly to the people who need it and deserve it. Well, there's an expression that I love. Take your hands off of what you can't control and put them on what you can. So taking your hands and yourself out of the situation where someone else is trying to control you, in this case, and rather than trying to control them or control the fallout, leaving and putting yourself in situations where you are welcomed and needed and treated the way you deserve to be treated, the way you darn well deserve to be treated, is how Spirit is saying it. And some of you may already be doing this, but if you aren't, if you have other clients, for example, or it might be family members or friends, other relationships or connections where people do treat you or have treated you the way you actually deserve to be treated, have been perhaps even especially generous or kind or especially appreciative of your service, draw on those memories for replenishment and strength and reminders of how you truly deserve to be treated. You can even treat that as a meditation. Think back to a time that a friend expressed appreciation, or think back to your favorite clients, your favorite coworkers, who were really awesome to work with or for, and maybe meditate on almost reliving that moment when, this client was so helped so tangibly by what you did and they expressed so much appreciation, or this friend really made you feel how loved you were and how they saw how deserving of love and grace and generosity and honoring you are, and how deserving you are of being treated in an upright, upstanding, and even above and beyond way. I'm shuffling the tea leaves more. tiger doing something risky, taking a chance. I think that kind of stands on its own after what we've already spoken to with the roaring lions and winds and so on. Taking a chance on yourself was worth it. For some of you, if this was a business relationship, this felt really risky because it felt like losing out on an opportunity, a financial opportunity. And this is very much affirmation from Spirit that that was worth it. The tiger is a very positive symbol in many cultures of good fortune and longevity, and the rewards of taking courageous risks, and of standing in your truth and in your empowerment. So again, I applaud you, we applaud you in Spirit for that. We do want more tea leaf. Spirit is saying, okay, let's shuffle them then, because they drew me to a specific section of the deck. So I was pulling out that section so I could shuffle it and find the card that they're drawing me to. All right. Dog, close up, pleasure with a close friend. That is so in alignment with what the message I was just receiving about meditating on connections that have pulled you in close and reflected what a pleasure you are to work with and what amazing work you do for the people around you, how amazingly you benefit the people close to you. And especially when you do stand in your integrity and your power, it does, like we talked about with the ancestral healing, it benefits everyone in your surroundings. The people who might have been scared to speak up for themselves, who see you do it and discover that they can, or discover that they have an ally, someone who will stand with them. But with this being pleasure with a close friend, this is really keying into, now that you have removed this situation from your life, you've exited this, closed the door, burned the bridge, it's time to relax, connect with the people who are trustworthy and honest and honorable, and really just like revel in that pleasure. That pleasure is so heightened by the contrast of having just experienced the opposite, and really resource those connections in your life, professional and personal both, to really root into what matters to you and all the opposite vibrations, the positive, healthy, wonderful vibrations that are available to you. There's so much more to life than the stress of these overwhelming experiences. And you need and deserve that resource, that pleasure, to recover from the stress, the distress, the overwhelm. And some of you are already on the other side, some of you are about to come out on the other side, just emerging. The worst, with the Three of Swords having come out reversed, the worst is over for all of you, because the worst was the moment when it wasn't clear yet whether this person would get one over on you or the other people in the situation. And as soon as you saw it clearly and internally realized this can't go on, the worst was over. So even if you haven't made your declaration or your kind of exit statement, I just heard issued resignation. If there are still steps that need to be taken in that case, it's still all downhill from here, in the sense of, not in the sense of it's all getting worse from here, but in the sense of it's getting less effortful from here. Now that you have seen the situation clearly, you realize there's no more tough choice left. There's really only one course of action from here, and so it kind of cascades naturally as you willingly face the necessity for that action. And if that door is already closed, or once that door is closed, revel in it, and revel in the connections that you love and that love you. because you are worth it and you deserve that. You really do. We have dog barking. So this is confirmation that for some of you, it says advice from a friend. This is confirmation that for some of you, you did have someone else in your life who alerted you to the nefarious goings on. I just heard with this character. For some of you, this was spirit telling on this person for you, and revealing their true intentions or their true nature to you. And again, with the roaring, like, you, whether you had assistance from a human or from spirit or not, ultimately you were the whistleblower in this situation. You were for many of you, the person you were dealing with, how I mentioned that they've gotten away with so much with other people by manipulating and charming and confusing them. For a lot of you, you're the first person who's ever spoken up to this person in true self-defense. I'm not saying they've never been spoken to harshly before, but like we said at the beginning, that is different than really speaking your truth. Someone lashing out or snapping is different than you speaking your truth, saying your piece, and going in peace. And it's not that there's anything wrong with snapping back. Sometimes that's the only thing someone will listen to. But there's something very significant about how powerful it is that you said heck no, that you sounded the alarm. And for some of you, for everyone, I think there is significance in you declaring that to yourself, like, I'm not going to put up with this, I'm worth so much more. For many of you, there is significance in how it took this person aback, and you don't need to stick around to see those effects, but this is confirmation from spirit that for some of you, this is something that will impact this person, that they will look back on for years, or I'm hearing even decades to come. And that's not your responsibility to deal with, but I think it is validating to hear that. I think for most people who are kind of this far gone into manipulative behavior, it's unlikely that they're going to make some kind of overnight, Scrooge and the Christmas Carol type of change, but that doesn't mean that you won't have influenced them in a positive direction. That is very significant. Just because overnight change is not always the way life works doesn't mean that change isn't potentially happening. You speaking up to them it may not have woken everyone in this situation up, but it may have woken some of these people up, or planted the seed for them to later be woken up when this happens to them again. And for many of you, you sounded or maybe not many of you, but at least some of you, you sounded the alarm to others who were unsure about the situation and unsure about, like, do I really have the right to speak up about this? I might lose my job, I might lose my income. And you blew the whistle and sounded the alarm. And big kudos to you for doing that. Okay, I'm being told that is all for the tea leaf oracles. Are we drawing any more card spirit? Is that the message, or are we getting more messages? Spirit is kind of like wrapping up just as suddenly as that mad powerful solar plexus energy came in at the beginning. I'm like, nope, this is done and dusted. This is everything this person needed to know. So thank you again, pile 2. What I'm getting drawn to do is to pull an energy oracle card from this deck, the energy oracle cards, to close out the reading so that we aren't ending on such an abrupt note. But Spirit is saying that was the meat of the message. But Spirit, let's bring through a final closing message for pile 2 to help them move as they move forward in their journey of self-worth. We have, is it this one? Okay. Healer of the ages. Look at those hands with the handshake in the hand there. Oh, and how we were just talking about how you have, we have the golden light shining like the solar plexus here. We have the crown, similar to the high priestess, you being so in touch with your intuition and your discernment. And we have the healing hands. Many of you really do work with your hands. And even if you don't physically, literally work with your hands, you are having a hand in creating such a big shift for yourself, your family line, and the people around you. This Healer of the Ages is especially, in my opinion, speaking to that family line, ancestral karma work. It's card number 51 in this deck. Keywords health and vitality in the guidebook, so that is part of the solar plexus as well. By removing yourself from this toxic energy, this toxic situation, you are seriously increasing your health and vitality. You may not be feeling it yet if you've just come out of this overwhelming situation, but you're going to be amazed how much better you feel. And by shifting that pattern and practicing this enforcement of your boundaries on a long-term basis, you are creating permanent increases to your health and vitality. So thank you for doing that. I want to read the reversed meaning first because the card did initially come out reversed, and then read the upright meaning because I do believe that both energies are at play here as you come out of this situation and into the healing of it. So when reversed, the Healer of the Ages indicates that you've been feeling extremely out of sorts or even upside down in your own life. How synchronistic is that with the Three of Swords reversed? You may be in the midst of some physical problem or just feeling as though you're losing energy, but this card is telling you that there are deeper levels of healing that need to be addressed. Take some time to regroup and put your own healing first. Whether you're facing mental, emotional, physical, or even addictive patterns, call upon the Healer of the Ages to bring his energy to the issues you're working on. Quiet your mind and feel his vibration, bringing you warmth and healing light, clearing away any dark or hurting space. Repeat this meditation and be patient, yet also know that divine love can heal you in the blink of a belief. So definitely with putting your own healing first and that message about losing energy, you have cut away or are in the process of or about to cut away something or someone that was draining you. Possibly both something and someone, depending on the situation. For example, both a boss and a workplace, or this stranger that you met and the situation or environment that you met them in. Or both just the person and the beliefs that were draining you or creating that fog around your access to your self-worth. This bright golden light burning away the fog in both of these cards. Incredible. And addictive patterns were mentioned in here. A lot of relationship patterns and toxic workplace financial patterns are very addictive. Like, I guess I'll put up with this because the financial payoff is good, or I keep coming back to this person trying to get their validation instead of standing in my self-worth. That can be an addictive pattern too. So definitely confirmation and encouragement that cutting away from that is the right thing to do, even if it does, with the Tire card, feel risky or like you're losing out on some kind of financial opportunity or some other kind of payoff. Maybe losing social status in the circle you've been in, but realizing that those people's good opinion means nothing because they have no integrity, and it's time to seek out the environments where your integrity and value are seen and honored, and where you actually do value the advice and the feedback, with the advice from a friend on the dog barking card, of the people around you. I don't know, this pattern in the background of the dog card reminds me of a shield. So the dog protecting you and spirit and you yourself protecting you. It also reminds me of a labyrinth. So that advice from a friend guiding you out of the maze, that advice from spirit guiding you out of the maze, you guiding others out of the maze. Upright, this guidebook says, this powerful being, the healer of the ages, brings the force of ancient wisdom and profound healing. The light of divine consciousness pours from his hands and heart, flowing to you with love and a powerful healing intention. This amazing entity is with you now, bringing resolution to physical, mental, and emotional ills, helping to unblock stuck energy and revitalize your life force. You may have felt this strong presence recently, or you may just be opening to the wonderful sensations now. You can call upon this emissary of miraculous transformation whenever you need vitality, balance, or renewal. Now that at the deepest level, an important healing is taking place. So whether it is specifically the healer of the ages that this guidebook suggests you call upon, or specific spirit guides you work with, such as archangels, especially Michael and Raphael are coming through right now, but any of them that you trust and regularly work with, whether it is this guide, your spirit guides, other spirit guides, or divine beings, or source itself, God or the universe itself that you call on. This is a reminder to welcome in, let in, and draw upon, resource the guidance, the strength, the replenishment, the nourishment of that connection with spirit. By honoring your truth and not putting up with deceit in this situation, you are clearing away any debris from your connection to spirit and honoring it and protecting it. You're keeping it shiny and clean and whole. Like I said, with the truth always coming out. There's no falsehoods in that connection with source. And it is always untarnished. And you have been dealing with someone who kind of splatters mud on that like stained glass window through which we as physical humans perceive the light of that sun, the light of source or God or the universe, the divine. You've been dealing with someone who splatters mud on that, and you're shaking the mud off and walking away and walking into the sunset. You're walking into the light and being engulfed by it and healed, cleansed, and replenished by it. So consciously welcome that in, meditate on that, soak it in, bask in it, lie down, whether it's during the day or in your bed at night, and really feel yourself melting into that. The affirmation that this guidebook suggests says, "The powerful healing of eternal love is with me now and always. Divine consciousness fills every cell. I am whole, healthy, vital, and at peace." And on that note, may your peace continue to be protected. May you continue to protect your peace. Just like that says, a very full circle. Thank you so much for tuning in and for honoring your self-worth with how you have conducted yourself in this situation, Pile 2. I wish you the best with healing and getting lots of rest and connection with trustworthy people to replenish yourself from the situation. And I hope you have a wonderful week.